Welcome, one and all, to the bicentennial International Scatological Humor Abstinence Grand Finales. I am your host, Jeff Keyblade, and I'm proud to guide our contestants through these insurmountable trials and tribulations. Introducing, Duke will undoubtedly manhandle a deuce and call your mother a slur, Nukem, the enemy of brown pants and iron barrels alike, the ever so belly be a rumbling Johnny, and of course, our up and coming sweet corn bowel battle torn squirrel himself. You know him, you love him. Give a big round of applause for Conker. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. That was this bicentennial International Scatological Humor. It is my savior, the unholy libido-driven abomination himself, Conker, the squirrel.
Away from me! Oh! Oh! Uh-oh. Oh no! I think I've had too much!
Yes, my savior. This here be Conker, and this game be all about his bad fur day, hence the title being Conker's Bad Fur Day. Quite self-explanatory. And if you here be like me back before, this romp is probably quite cemented in your thoughts as that one thing Rare did that one time they got really bored of catering to the higher-up corporeal sods that Nintendo's desire for another boring banjo-esque plat-them-up. The bolt cutter per se, that freed Rare of those heavy chains as framed by many a retrospective retro game cultist that believed that nobody had ever heard of their favorite game about erotic cogs and a questioningly anthropomorphized sunflower. Ironically, the thing about the Conk here be that he exists in his current immaturely mature state, all due to the fact that in order to break away from that child-friendly fungi Rare felt overgrown with, they had to get low amidst the proverbial weeds, down and dirty, one could say, ascertaining freedom through the embodiment of their bona fide inner junior high humored child. A child that, sure, now resembled more so Evelyn from Resi 7 than anything that would be allowed within the 50-foot radius of a ball pit, but still a child. Through the embodiment of this bygone, decayed, frayed child, they could create something entirely tailored to children, all the while not being at all fucking suitable for children. And thus, Conker was born. Kinda. See, this isn't actually his first time within the gulags of that Nintendo payroll, as he actually derives from Rareware's isometric Game Boy Color title, Conker's Pocket Tales. Really? Here? This is it? That game be the manifestation incarnation of everything Rare was attempting to put behind them with the Conkster, however, so it pertains nada to my fascination of B today. Also because it just fills me with this indescribable trepidation and disconcerting dread, like, oh. So, with a lens cutting off any and all cankerous prequels and Project Sparkly pseudo-sequels, let's take a look over there at that there N64's Conker's Bad Fur Day. As I stated before, this be another Rare joint. The game be a 2001 3D platformer that was developed for the N64 at the tail end of its rather meek 2.5 Dreamcast-length lifespan. Its whole shtick was that it wasn't your grandpappy's trusted old pal Banjo, nor that creepy uncle up the street, Glover. Rather, the game be crude, it be rude, and it be a fucking shit-filled vulgar vernacular rot junior high schooler's wet dream of what high school definitely isn't, but they hope it is. It said shit, it had a mountain of shit, and, well, honestly, I really think someone there at Rare probably had a real kink apropos coprophilia, if you get what I mean. I am being quite blunt, honestly. Someone there really had a thing for dung. Like, mates, you know other forms of comedy exist, right? The developers homed in on the fact that it was coarse and made that the whole sales pitch. And at least in terms of being given the green light and go ahead to develop it, pitch worked. The game was made, the team had a good shit-filled laugh, and the marketing execs got the incredibly unique chance to create an advertising campaign targeting the niche demographic that was, as Wikipedia so bluntly puts it, male college students. You know, maybe I should give them some props. Like, how does one even go about making a game appeal exclusively to college dude bros hell-bent on getting laid? When I think about it, that actually does seem kind of hard to achieve.
Yeah, you like that, baby? Yeah, I know you do. I know you like that. I know you love that.
Ah, I see. Essentially, this game was what Deadpool had been for Marvel, a reason for parents to actually do their job and make sure they don't buy little Charlie an automatic circumciser. I mean, come on, LA Times parental interviewee of choice when regarding the mature but cartoon nature of the game, Susan Jeffries. This is disgusting, sophomore humor, and I'm disappointed in Nintendo. It's like Disney releasing pornography. Jeffries, who had not played the game, said she mistakenly bought Conkers for her 15-year-old son's birthday. Now I know why the Quirk smiled when I paid for this, she said.
Oh, it's so dumb.
Mistakenly bought? I mean, fucking hell. I didn't realize Ray Charles was actually a middle-aged mother of two from Indiana. Wild. In spite of this expected obligatory parental disdain, among critics, the game was a Yakuza home run of a video game pitch, too. Smashed out of the ballpark or something, I don't know.
Sports ball! Woo!
Critics adored its writing, technical capabilities, and world designs, ranking it among the N64's best. And the game still stands to this day metacritically ranking in aggregate as one of the greats, amongst the 200 best video games of all time. However, regardless of all these glowing positivities and appraisals, in a sentiment that I feel is applicable to a rough 93% of the N64's library, the game was beyond an utter commercial failure, selling a grand old 770,000-ish copies worldwide. For a good point of comparison as far as typical N64 game sales go, I'll compare it to Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, a licensed film tie-in game released to an applause of soft, golf-clapping middling praise. Shadows of the Empire had a grand lifetime sale of about 1 million-ish, meaning Conker only makes up 77% of the total sales of a mere film tie-in game. Wait, Shadows of the Empire sold 1 million units within its first couple of months? Well, what were the lifetime sales then? I mean, they can't be that much more. Oh. 2.65 million? Okay, so yeah, when Conker's compared to a rather middling film tie-in game, it may have only pushed units equal to about 29% of that game's total sales. But you know, a high-velocity belly flop is still impressive to onlookers from a morbid perspective.
How about my own words, though? Does the game still compare to something I refer to as adequate? Hell, good?
Well, in regard to the game's showcase of artistic and technical mastery over the N64's whole lot,
coming from one non-initiated in the realm of graphical fidelity, I'd have to agree with that old sentiment shared by many a fan and a critic, that the game's visual elements are rather remarkable, not unreasonable to say striking even. While I should state the obvious caveat that I was playing it emulated with those ever so sharply emulated pixels on my rather nice monitor, that doesn't take away from my surprise with just how lovely the game looks. N64-ly clear, bright colors, unique world designs, great art direction, yeah, it's all accounted for. But more prevalently, on that technical scale, the detailed lights and shadows galore, crisp diamond cuttable texture work, no blur, no fog, no poppin'. The game pertains to the N64-ly aesthetic while obtaining PSX level graphical fidelity. I don't even care about capital G graphics that much, but it honestly blew my mind how nice this game looks. I chill with it hardcore. To top and add to those wonderful looks, and right alongside its technical proficiency, are the unexpectedly intricately tuned and toned elements of sound design. As I've mentioned in vids prior, I'm a sucker for games that provide the Foley with the proper girth and depth it deserves. And that is precisely what Conker's Bad Fur Day does. Bees buzz, water drips, winds be a-blowing, and voices don't sound compressed to all hell and back. In fact, the entire game is voice acted. A rather impressive feat for the Wii N64 and Nintendo's anti-CD mindset. This full voice acting is still something I'm on the fence whether it was a commendable inclusion though, or demands immediate reparation.
Thanks very much. I'm going in. Wish me luck, fella.
After I'd played for a bit, I did end up having a few gripes with the game's overworld tunes, especially that pseudo-semi-hub theme, which can start to seem quite vexing after just a wee bit, you know, just a wee bit, if you, I don't know, been stuck on the same section for 2 hours, hypothetically, you know? Makes you just wish they were just 1 minute longer. Every track, even that their horns and fartsly vexing overworld theme, were incredibly well designed, and especially well integrated into the world, gameplay, and surprisingly enough, atmosphere, in a, just as surprising, at least to me, semi-diegetic manner that allowed for unexpected moments of bliss and ambience. The cutoff with quick biting heel turns into the realms of silence, inherently causing the wilderness to be ever more prevalent in the background, are shocking in the most fucktastic manner. The swift cuts into silence are abrasive, ironically enough, providing one with an unexpected feeling of appreciation for their very surroundings. Or, at the very least, an awareness of their surroundings, and the world they are currently pissing about in. Sometimes literally. Like at the top of this water tower, where you hear the brisk breeze carry the leaves through the skyboxly confined forestry. Or these damp, dingy, musky sewer tunnels, where each of Conker's pitters bounces and echoes off the surrounding system of metal, instilling an eerie sense of isolation not expected within the haha funny squirrel says shite game. The OST, in conjunction with these silent, still moments, or even moments wherein the OST is dampened as you are in an area that would inherently dampen sound, i.e. the mucus-laced gullet of a giant sacrificial statue, craft and mash together superbly, making a world that feels all the more gamely, whilst concurrently feeling like a, quote, real, quote, place. I fucking adore unique and well-implemented sound design, hence why I never shut up about it. Any game that provides a sliver of emphasis upon the sound design instantly zooms up and catapults up my ranks of, yep, I could see myself talking about this for an unwarranted period of time, standings. I'm easy to impress, what can I say? Now, to turn the gears slightly, as I'm afraid I'm losing you, especially since I can totally hear you nodding off, whilst undoubtedly playing Tearing Saga, Berwick Saga Losberia Chronicle Chapter 174 at 3 in the morning. God, I need to stop projecting so much in these scripts. I'd better get to the actual in-game game, and not the factors that make up the game's environmental machinations. The game itself be a wise-as-all crass-ass comedy first and foremost, which, sidebar, is just an utter delightfully stupid combination of words to spout out, with what can only be described as a worship to the altar of witty writing, Its goal is to be mature, and if that's not what you're here for, the game doesn't care. Get the fuck out of here with your nuance and intricately plotted and unnecessarily elaborate world settings. If Rare wanted a singing pile of shite within a dung beetle's mountain that was only susceptible to 2-ply toilet paper, then that's what they were gonna serve you on a silver platter. I'm not one for toilet humor typically. In fact, most gross out humor is rather nauseating to me. Yet this game had me cackling like a primary student, placing their butt atop the printer on many a few occasions. The crude crud within didn't affect my opinion, because, as it turns out, shit humor and clever writing aren't mutually exclusive, meaning that this here Conker be a rather bloody cleverly written piece of video game with the shit jokes. Impossible, I know. Like, I was genuinely caring for these abominations, and their suffocating amount of personality. Especially Frankie, my beloved. Whether they are one-offs, two-offs, or never fucking offs, they are each given the same amount of consideration in how their personality can and will be depicted within the world, in turn filling said world with abundant soul up the ass. The narrative then, too, is quite charming in its overflowing soul and absurdity. The tale simply be that on one stormy storm of a night, Conker gets more hella conked out on booze than a drunken sailor in a sea shanty, and passes out with his, pub mates? What, war mates? Wait, were these fuckos going to war? Who were they fighting? Probably each other. America, America, ow, ooh, ow! While Conker is sleeping off the hops, the Disney wannabe Panther King discovers that his side table is missing a leg, causing his, jagged milk to slide and smash off onto the floor. Of course, there's only one solution to this problem. Duct tape a red squirrel to it, as one does in times of woe. And thus, as Conker awakens, our tale begins in full, with him trudging, running about, collecting wads of cash, as his lovely lady is kidnapped by Lord Fuckwad over here for affixing to his table leg. Or at least lure Conker into arriving, so that he can then affix Conker to said broken table leg. Look, nobody said it was a good idea. It is loony, and honestly, my sentiment of referring to it as only absurdist before is rather understanding its freedom and avant-garde incomprehensibility. Alright, let's see here. I've discussed some background, opening narrative, technical ingenuity. Is there anything else? Nope! Okay, fine. I should probably get to the part that I've been beating around as long as I could without being convicted of third-degree squirrel murder. The game is not my favorite per se to play. Yeah. I'm not one that enjoys complaining, especially about the mechanical polish of a game that is nigh a quarter of a century old, yet that didn't stop me from writing several thousand words, deleting them, and then rewriting several hundred words, which I then too deleted, regarding my lack of enjoyment derived from controlling this sluggish clunk of a conk fuck. However, to complain about a 25-year-old game's antiquated gameplay is tried as all hell, and just blatantly not a very fun thing to do. So I cut those dumb limbs off, inlaid video complaints, and come writing to you from a future wherein I had to settle with the fact that sometimes you have to kill your darlings, even if your darlings took you a full 3 weeks to edit, and you had to sit through your annoying voice whining about the stupid jumping and the glide of Conker. Like seriously, I just would not shut up about that stupid glide. So, in brief, in fact, as brief as I can possibly be, here be the lowdown. Look, not only do I see the appeal of everything the game has to offer, but I too feel that endearing trailer park crassly rubbish appeal. Non-pejorative, mind you. However, still, I just can't say that the game jived with me, due entirely to its, well, utter stiff-ass controls and lack of momentum. Just feels utter rubby to play. Like, holy hell, For a game in which the main mode of worldly engagement is through that of movement, they sure did a hell of a job making it feel more akin to pathologic than their prior releases of Banjo and presumably Donkey Kong 64. Caveat here, as I haven't fucked about with that monkey. Yet.
Oh yeah.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more.
Okay. One could make the argument that the game is more so focused on the immaturely crass-ass writing, allowing it a bit more of a leeway and a mute point to complain about the controls, which didn't seem to weigh so heavy on the minds of those within Rare. However, I beg to differ, as the mode of which you get to engage and actually further progress throughout isn't through a pure narrative means, but rather blockaded on multiple points by janky platforming sections that ended up slightly buggering my experience, resulting in sections that felt more so towards intrusive as opposed to integral moments of fun challenge. It isn't anything close to a Kmartly forsaken, utter bargain bin tier fodder level of movement that not even a dung beetle would have the indignity to roll up, but it does heavily toe the line of downright tedium and clunk. This combination of Conker's miraculously impressive athletic ability on par with that of 12 separate beer bellies full of cement, with the N64ly abysmal camera, and unnecessary implementation of other platformer mainstays to maintain appearance, for example the meaningless life system, this game just downright isn't that fun to actually play and bound about in. Also, I'm going to tag on the obligatory I too be at fault here, as I am the utter bulls, testes, tiddlies when it comes to platformers. No joke, beyond a bloody hell level of horrid. 2D, 3D, or within the realms of 5D chess with multiverse time travel, I am abhorrently abysmal at every last one of those jubbly fucks. But here, my skill, or lack thereof, wasn't being tried in really much of any capacity. Rather, it just felt like I was being reprimanded for the game's very own shortcomings. Well, except for the swimming, surprisingly enough. The game's swimming, in fact, is probably some of the best the N64 has to offer from what I've played. Rather strange faucet to excel in, but I mean, you do swim a lot, so I'm not complaining. But still, all this adds up to an experience that I can't say I enjoyed. And thus, I committed the ultimate sin of any who dare be referred to as a... I dropped the sucker at the 10-hour mark. Oh no, my gamer credentials. I can go outside again. The horror. Sadly, although I am totally down to dig with its sardonic humor, witty writing, charm up the ass, etc., I am not down with just how rough it feels to roam about, just to experience those lovely jubbly moments of spunk-filled writing. When the thought of just watching a long play sounds a hell of a lot more appealing than actually continuing to play myself, then maybe it's time to set the romp down for the time being, you know? My good time hat had reached its limit, and as it stands, I'm satisfied with that. Plus, shedding the feeling of obligation to conquer the Conker, the entire reason I was still playing the game after the 3-hour mark, honestly, was genuinely a freeing feeling. Sometimes I get caught up in the idea of beating games and forcing myself against my wishes to do so, even if I'm grinding my teeth the entire time and not having any fun. I have to remember, games are for that fun. It's alright to drop them. It's right to punt them across the field and yell slurs at them until they run away crying. Okay, maybe not, but it's alright to drop them. If they left an imprint on your mind, you're bound to return to them one day, which is undoubtedly what I'll do with Conker's Bad Fur Day. I mean, during the month-long planning process of this video, I dropped the game at 3 different points, and then in turn, returned to its abysmal controlisms 2 more times, just because I enjoyed the world. All that is to say, as I said a moment ago, I will probably finish Conker one of these days, but it doesn't have to be right now, especially if the game isn't hitting in all the right spots. And that's fine. In fact, I miss playing games for, God, dare I say it, fun. The amount of games I played as a wee lad that I just dropped one day for no reason without finishing is almost as insurmountable as that mountain of those waiting to be played in my various game catalogs. So yes, fuck obligation. I'm gonna go back to one of those countless games I never officially beat. Hell yeah! I'm free! Okay, yes, I know what you're thinking, but have you ever played Sonic Adventure 2 as fucking Yugi? I think not, fuckface. Woo!
You're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck.
Oh no,